In the year 2067, the world has been destroyed beyond repair. As a result of climate change, all plant has died out due to a lack of plant life. The amount of oxygen in the air has been decreasing exponentially. To survive, people must purchase artificial oxygen. The majority of the world has gone dark. People die from suffocation. In such circumstances, only one Australian city has survived, and it's all thanks to a company called Chronocorp, a company that creates synthetic oxygen. Artificial oxygen, on the other hand, causes a fatal disease. Over time, it became known as the sickness, and humanity only have few years to fully go into extinct. Ethan White lives in the Australian city. He and his friend, Jude, works for Chronocorp Corporation as a mechanic. The company is also working 24 hours daily in order to find a cure for the sickness and a way to save the world. Xanth, Ethan's wife, has the illness as well. Ethan works tirelessly every day to earn enough money to buy her better oxygen. One day, while Ethan and Jude are working in the tunnel, the Chronocorp's CTO of particle research, Regina Jackson, calls them into her office. She introduces herself to the two and warns them that if nothing changes, humanity will perish in few years. She then reveals that Ethan is the only person capable of assisting everyone and saving humanity. Ethan is perplexed and does not believe her. Regina, on the other hand, insists that he come to their lab. The lab is equipped with massive machinery. Billy Mitchell, the lab doctor, introduces himself, and they proceed to inform him that this project was initiated by Dr. Richard White, Ethan's father, 20 years ago. The machine in front of them is a time machine known as the Chronicle. In the machine's first experiment, they had to send radio waves to see what was on the other end. They discovered that 407 years later, in 2474, there would be enough vegetation on the planet to keep enough oxygen in the air and sustain human life. People come to believe that if humanity survives several hundred years, it is likely that they have discovered solutions to all of the problems that plague their reality. A strange activity, however, perplexed the scientists present. The waves they sent back had reformed. They decoded it and discovered that someone from the future had sent them the message. Please send Ethan White. So Regina and the entire team wants to send Ethan into the future to bring back the cure. Ethan is taken aback. He doesn't believe them and believes Regina is bluffing. Furthermore, he does not want to leave his sick wife and travel into the future. As a result, he declines to assist. Later, Ethan and Jude visit a diner and purchase oxygen. Ethan is persuaded by Jude to carry out the plan and contribute to the salvation of humanity. Ethan, on the other hand, laughs at him, claiming that he does not wish to be like his father. Ethan despises his father for never being present for him. His father left home and went missing 20 years ago, and his mother was murdered when he was younger. Since then, he has been raised by Jude, whom Ethan regards as both his older brother and best friend. Jude convinces him that the only way he can save his wife is to find the cure. Ethan remembers his 8th birthday, when his father gave him an unusual box as a gift. A device latches onto his wrist as he places his hands inside the box. Although it has been many years, and he didn't know its purpose. Later at home, Ethan tells Xanth about everything that happened during the day, and she, too, insists on him leaving. The next morning, he then returns to Regina's office, and informs her that if he can only find one cure, they will have to give it to Xanth first. Regina agrees and returns him to the lab. Dr. Mitchell demonstrates the suit he must wear before entering the machine. Ethan realizes they don't have a plan as they start to explain the mission to him. They don't know what he'll see or who he'll meet on the other end. However, after putting him in the suit, they give him the Archie, an AI device. Archie will display Ethan's vitals in the lab at all times. It will also help him find his way around. Finally, he is thrown into the machine. Inside, Ethan is traveling through time at breakneck speed. He slips and falls, and lands in an unknown jungle from the sky. Then he looks around and discovers that the world has changed dramatically. The trees and natural oxygen are returning. he follows Archie's directions and comes across a bunker door of some kind. What catches his eyes? A skeleton stands directly in front of the door. Its skull is pierced by a bullet. In addition, he looks at the name tag and is horrified to see his own name on it. He also discovers Archie, the skeleton's record player, and plays the last recording on it. He overhears. "This is the only way," says the man, as he shoots Ethan. The device's power suddenly goes out. He is terrified, convinced that this is what awaits him. He then notices the skeleton's wrist gadget, and it is identical to Ethan's, except that the light in the skeleton's device glows green, but Ethan's has always been red. That night, he builds a fire and eats wild berries. The berries turned out to be poisonous, and Ethan starts to go unconscious. Jude saves Ethan after following him through time when his life readings transmission via the Chronicle failed. As it turned out, the lab noticed Ethan's vitals dropping and assumed he was having a reaction, so they quickly sent Jude to the future with the cure to save him. Ethan and Jude discover his skeleton sometime later. That means his fate hasn't changed. After sharing their findings, they then follow Archie's instructions to another, still operational door that leads to the Chronicle lab. Ethan's wrist device is revealed to be a DNA analyzer, created specifically for him to gain access to the Chronicle, which is set to reactivate automatically. The lights in the room turn on, and they realize that they are still in Chronicorp lab. 407 years later, they are also in the presence of a time machine. Jude is overjoyed because they now have the ability to travel back in time, but Ethan is skeptical. They haven't changed anything, and he will die, just like Ethan before him. He examines the system log and discovers a holographic recording created by his father, who explains that the original purpose of the time machine was to collect oxygen data in the future planet and then send it back in time. When his father turned on the time machine for the first time, he received a message asking him to send his son to the future. Despite his reservations, he chose to do so and performed a DNA verification for Ethan here. Ethan and Jude soon realize that the time machine will not be able to transport them back in time, because, after 407 years, its battery is nearly depleted. Worse, the activation is not automatic. A malfunction in the lab's nuclear power core threatens to unleash a nuclear explosion in just 4 hours. This means they must figure out how to repair the time machine and go back in time before the explosion. They must act quickly because time is running out. Outside, they are surprised to discover a ruined city covered in green plants but lack humans, demonstrating that the Earth begins to recover after the extinction of humans. When Ethan arrives at his wife's house, he discovers her bones, which causes him to despair. Jude tries to persuade him to return to the past in order to find a cure for the illness. Even in the future, it does not appear to exist. Jude's words make Ethan suspicious. He then turns on the rusted Archie to play the recording, which he recognizes Jude's voice, and it appears Jude is the one who shot him. Jude points a gun at Ethan. He denied shooting Ethan. Ethan ultimately decides to complete the mission first. So, with their combined efforts, they repair the power core and return to the lab. Now that the Chronicle system is operational, they should be able to travel back in time. All they need is to wait 37 minutes for the portal to launch. The portal will be activated when the countdown reaches 0. However, Ethan discovers that his body is still there in the same place, which means they haven't made any changes to the future. To discover the truth, Ethan removes the battery from his current Archie and replaces it with the rusted one. He gains access to another video in which Ethan is assured that Jude will kill his future self. Jude then admits that there is no way to change the situation. He is trying to protect Ethan's future. Ethan locks his brother up because he finds it difficult to believe. He then enters a room and plays back his father's log from the day Richard died. Ethan discovers that his mission was a sham from the start. Regina Jackson planned to flee from her dying time into the future with a selected few. While Richard held out hope for humanity, Richard keyed the time machine to Ethan's DNA to prevent its misuse. However, when Richard's colleague revealed that the machine could be programmed to send a person into the future in only one direction, Regina Jackson murdered Richard. immediately. She then orders Jude to murder Ethan's mother and is appointed as Ethan's guardian to ensure that Ethan is sent forward in time to repair the power failure and stabilize the time portal. Ethan is astounded. The man he considered his brother turned out to be the one who murdered his mother and is about to murder him as well. He also recognizes that he misunderstood his father, who did not abandon the family on purpose. Recognizing Regina's desire to bring a select few into the future, Ethan tries to shut down the time machine, but Jude rushes to stop him and reveals that he's a time traveler. The CTO has tasked me with ensuring that Ethan arrives in time to repair the power outage. Once the time machine is activated, he should kill Ethan. Jude, on the other hand, has developed strong emotional bonds with Ethan over the years. He feels guilty seeing his brother-like friend in that state because of him. Instead of shooting Ethan, he shoots himself. Ethan is driven by rage and regrets to fulfill his father's dying wish of finding a cure and saving humans' race. He looks into the monitor and discovers his father's very first message. He concludes that he sent the message, "Send Ethan White." He codes in the message again and sends it back in time, along with the copy of Richard's recorded murder on Archie and Trees, just as Regina is about to put her plans into action. Meanwhile, in the year 2067, the CTO collaborates with a group of privileged, the chosen individuals are anxiously awaiting the activation of the time machine. To their surprise, the time machine returns hundreds of extinct trees, as well as a farewell gift for Xanth. The time machine is destroyed by Ethan, altering the timeline in the past. Regina is arrested by police after Archie sends the video of Ethan's father's murder to the news station. Ethan's wife also receives a flower he sent and understands his decision, while Ethan is forced to remain alone in the future world. In the future, Ethan is relieved to see that his future self's corpse has vanished, and he discovers that his formerly ruined city has advanced 400 years in the future with architecture that is more harmonious with the natural environment. However, no future humans appear to be shown in the city.